Why don't you tell us a little bit about Sledge? You've alluded to what the product is and all that, but tell us more about it and some of the features of these. And I actually have one over here to my side, so I could pull it up and show it if you like too.
Yeah, so slide sledge in a nutshell is a sliding style of sledgehammer. It has a drive bar that's encased in a drive bar tube, and that drive bar, when you're running it, moves back and forth. And so, yeah, like you can see there, and that's our 9-pound hammer. And so James has his hands on the tube and on the handle, and then where I think that's your left hand, where your thumb is, like that's just a piece of rubber. And so like one of the main concerns, people that have never touched them before think like, oh, they have pinch points. Well, that's just a piece of rubber. It doesn't hurt anybody. And so that's what we try to do, is just, we're a linear impacting style of tool. And then the tip, like down where the American flag is, so that's where all of our tips fit on. So what makes our hammers so much different than a traditional hammer, like that's a 2.5-inch pin driver. And so we make around 50 to 60 job specific tips. So depending on whatever you're beating on and impacting on, we probably have a tip that does that job. And our tips, along with our hammers, make the jobs go faster and safer. And we make different sized hammers, all the way from where I said, like where it all started with the red precision hammer that only weighs like 3 pounds. We can go all the way up to 26 pounds. And so the big one you need for if you're working on like a D8 excavator or something large, then like the 9-pound that you're holding is perfect for bobcats, mini excavators, things like that. People in the oil and gas world use the 9-pound a lot, or the 13. It just kind of depends on their setups. But everything is kind of color coordinated as well. So if it's red, everything that's red goes together. If it's yellow, everything that's yellow works. So it doesn't matter if you have a 9-pound hammer or a 21-pound hammer, all the yellow tips will fit on every hammer. And then the blue one that works both ways, you can impact with it. And then just like you were talking, like a slap hammer in the auto body world, that our blue one works in reverse like that. And you can also impact with the blue one as well.
Yeah, and you mentioned a variety of tips, and that's one of the things that makes it so unique, the multi-head application. So, here, I showcased this particular tip. They have different sizes available too, depending on the application. And over my shoulder here, you'll see we have a bunch of different types too. So this one's a cup style. So depending on what you're needing that for, we have it covered.
Yeah, like we make 3 different sizes of cup drivers. Like that's our small strike wrench. So depending on which part of the world you're in, they're called a strike wrench or a slugging wrench or a spud wrench. We can impact on those. That's a bucket tooth pin remover. So if you run the style of teeth that are held together on a piece of equipment that have pins that run through them, and you've ever tried to beat those out with a hammer and a punch, it doesn't really work that well. That tip will make your life a lot easier. That's one of our best selling tips. That one is for a hook stake driver. Or it's called a hook stake driver. So if you have a stake that comes up and they have a hook on the end of them, that tip will fit over the top of that hook stake and knock those in the ground. That one, that's one of our punch tips. So like I use that remodeling one of my old houses. I had to move a drain over a foot and just use that tip and broke concrete 2 feet over to where I needed to move it. And
wow.
So it's not designed for that, but it works just fine.